think I forgot how to do this. I don't really remember.
Yeah, dude, it's been like a year and a half, almost 2.
Yeah,
We've been gone. Dude, we've been gone for a while. I missed you,
I missed you too.
narrator.
Duffy.
And we've missed all of you guys as well.
Yes, we definitely have.
Well, we're back for the first episode of 2025.
Which it's crazy because 2025 is already halfway over.
Yeah, fuck, dude, it really is. Huh. Well, you know what's not over? This podcast.
Haha. Damn, you beat me to it.
I know. I heard you winding up for it. I was like, I gotta steal it from him.
Well, god damn it, you succeeded.
All right, bud. It's kind of weird to do this after so long because I don't remember how we used to transition into the stories. But then I just remembered we never actually had a transition into a story. It's just like 2 minutes of us talking nonsense.
Yeah, which is why we've also never really had an actual intro.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's always been us getting derailed and then be like, oh, well, today we have.
Yes, which leads me to believe, what do we have on the docket for today?
Today we're doing a very special episode based off of, give me a drum roll, the B movie. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes.
Exorcisms. That was a wild jump. The B movie, Exorcisms.
Yeah, but, makes it fun.
Yes, sir. So what I thought would be fun to do for this welcome back episode is we each selected a short exorcism story. And then I went and I found the official, not rules, because they're not going to give you rules for it, but the guidelines based off from the Vatican for how to properly perform an exorcism, like what needs to be the qualifications that need to be met before they actually intervene and cause it to be an exorcism.
Ooh, that'll be an interesting one to hear.
Yep.
Well,
all right, let's do it. You want to go first?
Yeah, I can go first. Let's see here.
Alrighty, buddy.
Question is are you ready for this?
Not really, dude. I'm gonna be honest. While I was researching all this stuff, I'd made the mistake of watching an actual exorcism, and it was terrifying. It made my body hurt.
Oh yeah, they can be pretty damn crazy.
Dude, they're fucking brutal. And just listening to some of the stories, because I listened to multiple stories before I landed on the one that I eventually chose.
Yeah.
It is fucking terrifying to hear some of the shit. Because you're like, no, that can't be real. And then you think about it, and you're like, there's sign-offs, witness statements from cops and priests and other people and shit like that.
Yeah.
I don't think they're gonna lie about it. If they saw this shit, that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely not wrong. Anytime you see or, even hear it is kind of the same thing. I mean, listening to just those audio segments on those crazy ass tapes where you're like, yeah, I don't think this would have been easy to fake back then.
Oh yeah, for sure. They'd be like, well, how did you do this, smarty pants? I'd be like, well, we didn't fake that. That actually happened.
Yeah. If you don't, next time we have one, I'll bring you along so you can come and verify its authenticity.
Are you telling for me to go verify? Because I refuse to do that after watching that exorcism. That is a hell no for me, sir. I'll go ghost hunting all you want, but I will not be part of an exorcism.
Well, we might be able to sub some ghost hunts out for mandatory exorcism training. I can back that.
I refuse to do that. That's all you.
Well, since we won't, I would. It sounds like you won't, but since we have some exorcisms, let's speak about them and see what the people have to say. Does that sound fair?
Alrighty, buddy. That sounds more than fair.
All right. So mine is The Exorcism of Roland. So our story begins in the late 1940s in Cottage City, Maryland. It's a small working class suburb just outside of Washington, D.C. At the center of this haunting is a boy known to history only by pseudonyms Roland Doe or Robbie Mannheim. We do know he was born in 1935 as an only child, shy, introverted, intelligent. His parents, both German Lutherans, were described as protective and private. Roland was particularly close to his aunt, Harriet, Now, she was a spiritualist who practiced mediumship and was well versed in the use of a Ouija board, which she taught him to use. But following Aunt Harriet's sudden death in January 1949, something had changed. So in the days after Harriet's passing, Roland's family began noticing strange disturbances. At first, they were small, little things like scratching sounds coming from inside the walls or footsteps echoing when no one was there. But then it escalated. Books sliding off the shelves on their own. A heavy dining table levitated and flipped. Roland's bed even shook violently in the middle of the night. And according to his mother, ordinary objects became weapons. A vase once hurled itself across the room at her. Worse was Roland had begun to show signs of physical torment. Now that went anywhere from scratches appearing on his body and red welts that would form the words like hell or evil. He even entered trance-like states, muttering in guttural voices that weren't his own, and he exhibited violent aversion to religious objects. So the family, they first sought help from medical doctors and psychiatrists, and all of them found no physical or mental illness to explain what they witnessed. So now remember that they did go the medical route.
Yeah.
And the doctors and psychiatrists said, no, he's good. Nothing wrong.
That's got to be super shitty. He goes seek help and they're like, nah, he's fucking fine. He's 100% superstar.
Yeah, that's why sometimes those areas suck, man, because you never know what you're going to get. But out of desperation, the Does approached their Lutheran pastor, Reverend Luther Schultz. He spent the night in their home to observe and later reported that he had witnessed the boy's bed shaking violently, furniture being moved by some forces that were unknowns to them, and unexplained scratching noises. Now, shortly after experiencing all of this, he realized that he was kind of, out of his depth on this one, and he recommended that they contact the Catholic Church. And when they did, Father E. Albert Hughes, Catholic priest of St. James Catholic Church, came to them in February of 1949. Now, he had received permission to perform an exorcism at Georgetown University Hospital, where Roland was strapped to the hospital bed for safety. Now, during the rite, he reportedly broke one arm restraint and tore bed spring coil straight from the damn mattress and slashed the father across the shoulder with it, halting the exorcism.
Wait, did you say he ripped bed springs out with his bare hands?
Yeah.
That is terrifying. I don't think that's easy to do. I think you gotta have some strength behind that.
Yeah, no, he ripped it out and used it as a weapon.
That is the most versatile use of a weapon. It's like that fucking joke's like, I can kill you with anything in this room, including the room itself. This literally did that. He's using a fucking bed spring as a weapon. And that is fucking insane.
And he broke one of his restraints.
Yeah, that's impressive. It's insane. That's like some otherworldly strength for sure.
Yeah, I've seen meth heads or people high on fucking like coke and acid and shit try and rip out of them.
Yeah.
Never works.
That's fucking insane.
So now, after this failed attempt, the family decided to leave Maryland and visit relatives in St. Louis, Missouri. Now here, Roland's cousin was a student at St. Louis University, and their family priest contacted the authorities. Well, when it comes to that kind of thing, sometimes that has to happen. Now, two men stepped into the case. Father William Bodern, who was a seasoned priest known for his scholarly rigor, and Father Walter Holloran, and he was a young seminarian assigned to assist. So over the next month, March into early April 1949, the priest performed up to 30 exorcism sessions, and the rites took place at multiple locations. So one was the home of the Roland's relatives on Roanoke Drive, the rectory of St. Francis Xavier Church, and the old Alexian Brothers Hospital in St. Louis, where the final rituals would be conducted in secret. Now, witness accounts from these sessions are fairly chilling. They say that Roland had entered trances and spoken guttural voices and reacted violently to prayers. Any objects that were, holy related, being Bibles, crucifix, anything, just would consistently fly across the room. And then the boy's body had arched unnaturally, and they would witness right before their eyes scratches spontaneously appearing on his skin, including the words Louis one day, interpreted as a sign to move him to St. Louis. Now, Father Halloran had told interviewers later that I saw the scratches appear. I don't know how to explain it. It's like watching writing being traced on his body. And throughout all of it, Roland himself seemed trapped and unaware of what happened during any of this. That doesn't sound like a fun time, not being able to recall. Well, I mean, maybe it's, for the best. So by April now, the priests believed they were engaged in a battle for the boy's soul. On April 18th, 1949, which was Easter Sunday, the final session took place at the Alexandrian Brothers Hospital. Now, during this climactic ritual, the boy had started screaming and thrashing. Voices issued from him that had claimed to be many demons, like many, many demons. The priest that invokes Saint Michael the Archangel, which is a common strategy in these exorcisms, would just keep on and not let off invoking that because demons don't work with it. I don't know how else to explain it in more technical terms.
Yeah, I feel like that isn't any more explaining than that.
Yeah. So after several hours of prayer, witnesses said Roland suddenly shouted in a clear voice, "Satan, Satan, I am Saint Michael, and I command you to leave this body now." And what followed was a final violent convulsion and then stillness. And after a little bit, Roland opened up his eyes, smiled, and calmly asked, "Where am I?" From that moment, everything stopped. So in the 2 weeks that followed, Roland returned to a normal life. He enrolled in school, he ended up getting married, and built a private career, his identity protected by the church and those who knew him. The priests involved, including Father Halloran, remained cautious in their public statements, confirming the strange phenomena, but not definitively labeling it as demonic possession. Father Halloran once said, "I can't say for certain what it was, but I can say this. Much of what you saw in The Exorcist was drawn directly from what we witnessed." And that brings us to the lasting legacy. Now, author William Peter Blatty heard about the case while studying at Georgetown University. His 1971 novel, The Exorcist, followed by the 1973 film, became a cultural sensation, introducing the concept of demonic possession to millions and embedding Roland Doe's story into the fabric of modern horror. Skeptics, of course, point to alternative explanations such as psychological trauma, grief-induced hysteria, and the suggestive influence of clergy, and Roland's deep religious family. But believers argue that the sheer number of witnesses, including priests, hospital staff, and lay people, lends weight to the more supernatural interpretation. But in the end, the truth could lie somewhere in between. We really have no way of knowing.
Damn.
Yep.
That was it's fucking intense.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that would not be a very fun fucking time.
No, not at all. Not, and wasn't like the Exorcist movie itself, like they had a bunch of shit happen like on set.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. I was like, I don't know, man. That just kind of adds to the thing about like demons and whatnot. I remember growing up, my mom always used to be like, well, don't watch movies about like demons and stuff like that because it opens a portal to evil stuff. And even to this day, I hate watching movies about demons. Like I'll watch movies about like fucking murderers and like fucking serial killers all day long, but demon stuff, I'm out.
At least when they go to kill me, I see it coming.
Exactly. I don't want to be like, I have a fighting chance because I'll still get murdered. I'd rather get murdered by something I can see opposed to like a weird demon thing.
Well, I mean,
at least I know when they kill me, they're not going to take over my body.
Hopefully that choice is something that we get to keep.
Oh, yeah.
So don't go getting possessed.
I'm trying not to, buddy.
Hell yeah. So what about you? What kind of story you got?
I have one long one and a short one if you'd like to hear both.
I'm always down.
Alrighty. I will give you like the breakdown of the long one. So it is not something super like like crazy or anything.
Fair enough.
All right. Ready? So mine is on the exorcism of Gottlieben Didis. It took place in mid-19th century in a Mottlingen, Germany. Mottlingen, Germany? That's a hard name to say. And is one of the better-known cases involving John Christopher Blumhardt, a Protestant pastor and revivalist. So I'm going to give you just kind of a quick summary on everything. So Gottlieben Didis was a young woman who began exhibiting disturbing symptoms in the 1940s, including violent seizures, trance-like states, and claiming to see spirits. The local pastor, Johann Christoph Blumhardt, that is a hard name to say. I'm just going to say JCB.
It sounds like it's a tough one.
It is a lot of words. Believed she was possessed by evil spirits. Over the course of 2 years, around 1842 to 1844-ish, Blumhardt conducted multiple prayer sessions and what could be considered an informal exorcism. The events culminated in a dramatic exorcism in which Didis cried out, "Jesus is Victor," a phrase that became central to Blumhardt's later ministries. That's crazy. You're going to exorcise one person, that's going to be the whole fucking motto of your ministries?
I mean...
each their own, I guess.
Yeah, there's really no explanation for that one that I can think of that makes sense.
Yeah. So following this, Didis reportedly recovered and a spiritual revival spread throughout the region. Blumhardt did not seek out any repeat exorcisms afterwards, but he saw this event as a spiritual turning point. So some of the stuff that I also saw was like the onset afflictions, basically.
Yeah.
So like it started off, they were eating and they're like saying their prayers, like the whole family, and then they started hearing like knocking from like the floor real loud. And then Didis just kind of dropped to the floor and started convulsing. And that became a thing that they started hearing like a lot of like knocking. And then like the shadows that like the candles were giving off were like weird and moving like separate from everybody else. And it was a lot of stuff, dude. But some of the stuff that happened was like unexplained noises and violent convulsions. The big thing was she had visions of a deceased woman carrying a dead child who claimed to have murdered 2 children and sought rest. And another thing was a sudden loss of consciousness, including a full-day coma.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So neighbors reported eerie sounds emanating from Didis' home, promoting a local doctor and several villagers to stay overnight. All reporters witnessed strange phenomenon, leading them to believe the house was haunted, which is crazy because they moved and everything followed them.
Yeah, that's not a good sign.
Yeah. So then Pastor Blumhardt, initially skeptic, became convinced that Gottlieben was possessed. He began regular visits during which she exhibited speaking in different voices, including that of the deceased woman, violent convulsions and attacks on family members, blasphemous speech and vomiting of foreign objects like sand, glass, and nails, claims of being possessed by multiple demons with numbers escalating from 3 to over 1,000. So Blumhardt relied solely on prayers, fasting, and scripture to combat the affliction. He reported the demons spoke in various languages, including French and Italian, and sometimes remained visible only to Gottlieben. So after 2 years of intense spiritual struggle, the breakthrough occurred on December 28th, 1843 at 2 a.m. During the prayer session, Gottlieben's sister, Catherine, began acting violent. Blumhardt intensified his prayers, and Katrina cried out, "Jesus is Victor." The demonic manifestation ceased, and both sisters were reportedly free from their afflictions.
Damn. Well,
yes. So basically after that, everything kind of just like peachy keen. So it basically made a spiritual revival in that town. So healings and conversations occurred amongst the community. Marriages were restored and former adversaries reconciled. It basically brought like peace to that area.
Well, I mean, hearing about anything like that, I'm damn sure would. Especially back in those days when, you know, an emphasis was huge on spirituality and demons and shit like that.
Yeah, no, like that's fucking crazy. After that whole fucking exorcism thing, like the town was at peace. Like, let's bring in peace to everybody.
All right, so how many exorcisms do we need to have happen here so we can get peace in this town?
1 million, 1.5 million.
Oh, it's going to be a long night. But that's why we have your other story to look forward to.
Yeah, that one's not going to bring peace to this town.
It'll bring peace to me.
I guess.
I love the scary.
No scaries. So this next story is just kind of a quick one. It is about a famous violinist, and she was signed into Juilliard. This is more just me retelling it. So she was going to school at Juilliard, like, you know, that famous school of music.
Now I do.
It's Juilliard School of Music. So all her friends were like after her graduation, all her friends were like getting work and all that, and they're becoming successful, but nothing was really happening for her. She wasn't really taking off, and she was kind of getting jealous of that. So she basically prayed to anyone that she wishes that she would become famous and all and rich and all that. And one night, one of her dreams was that she saw this really beautiful man, and he was like naked. And he asked her, like, would you really give up anything to be famous? And she said, yeah. So he pulled out a contract and he gave it to her, and she had to sign it in blood. So he cut her finger with his nail and she signed it in blood. And then he touched the contract and it lit up in fire, and there's like ashes fell to the ground. So when she woke up, she's like, what a strange dream. And she looked at her finger and she had a cut on her finger. And then next to her bed was a little pile of ashes. So
that's
after that,
dangerous.
yeah, after that, she got a little bit more well known, and she started kind of like shit started going sideways for her. So she started doing like some sketchy stuff, and then life started going sideways, and she started doing drugs. She was shooting up and all that. So she ended up catching HIV. So she had AIDS.
Oh, shit.
And yeah, so she was basically dying, and she told her mom about everything, and her mom was like one of those Filipino moms, and she's like really like, oh, dude, like, no, bro. So, so that's not what her mom said, but her mom was like really concerned. So she reached out to the church, and the church, they came down to her hospital because, like I said, she had HIV and she was kind of like dying from it. And she ended up telling the pastor like about the dream, like everything that happened.
You've
And
got AIDS. Yes, you've got AIDS, not HIV, but full blown AIDS. Sorry,
yeah, I don't think that's I don't think that's what the conversation was.
That song came into my head.
Yeah, I don't think it was a full on musical. But so what ended up happening was the pastor told her, like, you need to rewrite the whole contract, like word for word, and then you need to sign it in blood. And the doctor said, yeah, that's not fucking happening. She has AIDS, and we're not gonna let you sign anything in blood. So he told her, like, hey, then you got to get the fuck out of this room. Well, not like that. He said, you need to get out of the room because she needs to do this. So the doctor left the room, and then she wrote out the whole contract, and she signed it in blood, and she fucking flatlined.
Oh,
She
shit.
like died. Yeah, like they couldn't find a pulse, they couldn't revive her, and the pastor burned the contract and all that. He destroyed it. So they were arguing, like the doctor was mad and the mom was like freaking out because their daughter just died. She's been dead for like 10 minutes. So they're already doing like they're like making sure that they're tried everything and they didn't work. So they're getting ready to move the body.
Yeah.
And she jumps up from the bed. Like she's fucking like gas and jumps up off the bed, and they recheck her like a little while after that, and no AIDS, nothing.
No shit.
Yeah. So that's not really like that's kind of like exorcism deal with the devil kind of thing, but that kind of like
that's
be a little bit more sketchy about your be a little bit more sketchy about your fucking deals and your dreams. Question it a little bit more.
Well, that, and then it's not only, scariness of possession, it's scariness of be careful what you're dipping where and with who.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Well, it wasn't even dipping where, dude. She was using like the needles for like to shoot up.
Oh yeah, that's right. She was a drug addict.
Yeah. So it was that. And yeah, just be a little bit more careful.
And don't do drugs.
So let me ask you this question. Do you think if they told you like, hey, we're going to be doing this fucking possession, this person's possessed, we're going to do an exorcism. You want to join us or can we have your help? Do you think you'd be able to go and do it?
Yes, I genuinely do.
You're too brave, my friend.
I would bring recording equipment and I would find a way to record that shit.
Oh, you're too brave. I would not do any of that.
I'm dedicated to the field of the paranormal, man.
I would not do that. I'm dedicated, but not that dedicated.
Yeah, no, I'm going all the way, man. All the way.
You're going all the way?
Yep. Well, I'm not going to get possessed, but all the way meaning I'm going to go assist with this
thing. You're going to let that demon hit a home run on you, you floozy.
No. How dare you?
All right, bud. So you're probably wondering, like, how do you perform an exorcism, right? Like, oh, just anybody can do it.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like anyone could.
No, dude, you're way off. There's a whole, like, long list of shit that has to, like, requirements that have to be met before you can actually perform an exorcism, and not everybody can do it. So I'm going to go ahead and read you down what I found, okay?
Yeah, now I'm curious.
So first off, no priest can simply decide to perform an exorcism on their own. An exorcism requires explicit permission from the local bishop. Without that, it's forbidden.
Huh.
You can so priests can get in a lot of trouble if they don't have that permission. The bishop also chooses which priest can perform the rite. The priest must be strong of faith, mature, prudent, and especially trained. In other words, not just anyone. There's actually two types of exorcisms. I didn't know that. I thought there was one.
What types are there?
So the first one is a simple exorcism. These are blessings to protect people or places from evil influences, and they happen all the time during baptisms or house blessings. But then there's the big one, the major exorcism. That's the formal rite used when a person is believed to be truly possessed, and before that can even begin, the church requires a full investigation. So first and foremost, medical and psychological causes must be ruled out. That means you can't just be like, I'm having a bad day, I want an exorcism. Like, no, they have to go through all this whole process, and they have to make sure that it's not a medical thing and it's not a psychological thing. So doctors, psychiatrists, and psychologists are consulted. The church actually insists on this. The goal is to avoid mistaking mental illness for possession. If a natural cause explains the behavior, an exorcism is not performed. So you're going to ask yourself, what are the signs the church is looking for, right?
Yes, and also, how do they know that it's not a misdiagnosis on the psychiatrist part?
Okay, so that's more in-depth breakdown that I'm so glad you asked. So here's some of the class indicators. Ready? Speaking languages that the person never learned, superhuman strength, knowledge of things they couldn't possibly know, extreme aversion to sacred objects, unnatural physical phenomena like levitation, and intense violent personal changes. If these can't be explained medically, and the bishop agrees, the rite may proceed.
Huh.
So, yeah, that's fucking... There's a lot of things that, like, if it can't be broken down, like, oh, well, this is schizophrenia. No, like, I don't think schizophrenia gives you levitation. So it's like a strict guideline of things. So they're not just performing exorcisms willy-nilly because they can go sideways so fast.
Well, yeah, which, there's been things of that in the past with people going and it was unsanctioned by the church and someone died and yeah.
And then it's a whole lawsuit. Yeah.
Yeah, it never ends well.
Yeah. So they have to be very careful. So during the ritual itself, there are strict guidelines. So you ready for me to break this down for you?
Break it down.
I'll break it down now. Okay.
Break it down Barney style.
What? So the priest must wear the proper vestments, use the approved prayer from the official rites of exorcism, have holy water and a crucifix present, remain calm and prayerful. Spectacle is forbidden. There can be no live streams, no YouTube videos, no media circuses. Privacy and dignity are paramount. So unfortunately, your dream of live streaming an exorcism isn't going to happen.
Oh, no, I wouldn't live stream. I would just have like a hidden camera just recording. It doesn't even have to be video. I just want the audio.
Yeah, I don't think that's good. There's very few of these that are like actually recorded. And the ones you can find are terrifying.
Okay, here's what we'll do. I'll sneak in the audio and then I will edit out any sort of damning information.
Yeah.
No names, no nothing.
Yeah, but I don't think that's how that works.
Well, only one way to find out.
All right. So you ready for me to tell you the prayers?
Yes,
So the prayers themselves invoke Christ, the Virgin Mary, the saints, and often Saint Michael the Archangel to drive out the demons. They include scripture readings, psalms, and commands spoken directly to the spirit. Holy water is used and sometimes relics, but the church strictly forbid using any unauthorized ritual or superstitious practices. If assistants are present, if assistants are present, they are there only to support the person or restrain them if they become dangerous. So they're not allowed to like be a part of the actual ritual. They're just there for like if they need something like support or if they need to restrain the person because they broke free and they're like being harmful towards themselves or the priest.
Oh, okay. That makes kind of a lot of sense.
Yeah, because I mean, like they say, you have to be properly trained for this. So they're not going to bring like a newbie in or some shit.
Yeah, I can definitely understand why.
Yeah, because it makes it 100 times more dangerous if you have an untrained person in there. All right, and here's some things movies rarely show. Exorcisms are rarely resolved in a single dramatic event. There's multiple sessions are usually needed, sometimes over days or weeks. The priest continues under the sign of possession cease, and the person is spiritually and mentally healed. Lastly, confidentiality is critical. Names are protected. Publicity is discouraged, and even when cases are made public, as the story of Roland, which you told us about, the true identity of those involved is usually kept secret. And perhaps most importantly, exorcisms can never replace necessary medical care. The church is clear. If a person is ill, they need a doctor first, and an exorcism is never to be used as a substitute. So as you can see, real exorcisms aren't the free-for-all that Hollywood might suggest. They are a last resort, tightly regulated and carried out with caution and reverence, and perhaps that's what makes them all more unsettling when the church says, yes, this one was real. It's like terrifying when they actually, but they're like, yeah, this is like a real fucking exorcism. This is the real deal. This isn't just like a movie one, or this isn't just mental health.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what can you say besides, that shit's legitimately terrifying. It doesn't seem fun. The stuff that has been, whether you want to call it leaked or allowed to be shown, is horrendous, and we're all shielded from it. So unless you get to experience something like that, you don't know what to expect, what to feel, what to think, what's right, what's wrong. We don't know.
Yeah, that's the terrifying part, is the uncertainty of all of it.
Shit. Well, who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe one day we'll be able to get some clarification, some sort.
Like an actual.
Yeah.
Like, that'd be like insane as like a documentary, but like step by step, like the possession, and then like everything, having to go through everything, like the medical side of it, and then having to like witness the actual exorcism and like multiple attempts. Cause like they say, it's not going to take one. It's not one and done. Like with Gottlieben, it was like the span, I think, of like 4 years.
Yeah, which is a very long time. I mean, my guys was what Roland was, I think, like 6 months, something like that.
Yeah, I think it was something like that. Yeah.
But
So
you want to know about him, you want to see him experience, like that would be the best way. Just find someone that's okay with being like, hey, people need to learn and understand what this is. So I'm going to allow mine to be documented.
I don't think that the church wants this out there, because that people are going to try to, like, if they see the process and they see like the actual ritual, that they're going to be like, oh, well, I can do this myself. Like, I know what they did and I know the process, and that's going to end up getting them killed or somebody else killed. Because we've seen so many cases where they've gone and they've done an exorcism and the persons end up dying, and then the priest ends up going to jail, and then like the family gets in trouble and all that. But imagine how much worse it would be if it's an untrained person doing it. Like, I'm going to restrain you to a bed. I'm not going to feed you. We're going to starve out the demon. It just has a potential to go sideways so badly. That's probably why the church doesn't want this information out there.
So that's where you have them legally sign something that says, if I watch this video, I give up all right to attempt what is seen in the video. And if I do, I am guaranteed guilty under legal action.
That's not how it works, because even in like the eyes of the law, if an exorcism goes wrong performed by the church doesn't have immunity to that. They're still liable for the death, even if there's like a signature that doesn't like discount anything. It makes it so that you're still accountable for your actions. That's why the church is really like, we're going to go through this extensive process to make sure that it's not mental illness, because we don't want anybody getting hurt over like an exorcism that's not needed. So that at the same time, that's why they don't do like the recording or anything like that as well. So I understand that part of it.
Well, then all I ask is, church, allow me the knowledge of what takes place and what happens. And I would be happy just knowing and not sharing or being able to share. I would even sign the NDA.
At that point, dude, I think you would have to go to like years through the church to like get certified for stuff like that.
Fuck it. Let's find out how.
Yeah. I don't know if the church is going to grant you that, buddy. But I mean, anyways, this was a really interesting episode to bounce back to after like a year and a half, just coming back with exorcisms.
I mean,
let's hit the ground running.
That's the only way to do it, buddy. It's run or fall, and I don't want to fall. It hurts.
I don't want to fall. It hurts.
It does.
Yeah. So I think that is where we will be leaving all of you beautiful people today. Remember, if you are possessed, get the proper help, go through the proper channels.
Yeah, doctors first. Then you can do, priests or whoever else is next on your list.
Yeah. Well, I think from narrator and myself, I want to say thank you guys for joining us. It's been so long and it's so nice to see. We'll have you guys hear us and hopefully interact with you and all your beautiful faces. Till next time, we'll see you in Helheim.